Okay then, Bill Shankley. In fact, I've done Bill a disservice there straight away. The great Bill Shankley. You managed the team that I hated for years and years and years when you were successful. That would be Liverpool. I've been a Manchester United fan for 55-ish years. For 20 of those, you were winning everything. Not always with yourself, Bill, but you built and created the dynasty that sort of went on and conquered all in front of it. Hated you for that, but love you for everything else. Your passion, your love of the game. I used to watch you on TV. You were different than most everybody else on the touchline. You were different after the match in press conferences, although it wasn't as big a thing then, the talking to the press. But you were just brilliant. You were always brilliant. It was obvious you'd come from hard upbringings. You were brought up to be hard in a hard environment. But your passion for the game and your love of those of Liverpool was just fantastic. And more importantly, I mentioned it, I've done a video earlier, I think that's come out earlier today, regarding the Dragon's Den. And I also mentioned you in the intro video, intro 1, if anyone gets a chance to watch that. What I love about yourself, Bill, is the fact that you had time for the public. You had time for the fans. And I mention public because they weren't fans. They may have been Everton fans, they may have been not fans of sport, but you had time for absolutely everybody. And in this day and age, people don't have time for everybody. When I say people, many of us do, but people in the media, people that we see on TV and hear on the radio and see in the press, they don't have time. You know, it's not like days of old. You know, I'm not suggesting that everybody was like you in those days. They weren't. You were sort of a man alone. You were better than everybody else for letting the public into your life. But many contemporaries, but many of the people that were around when you were more, what the word, can't think of the word, had more time for the public, had more time for the fans, had more time for the people. I've got a couple of quick stories about you, because it's not going to be a long video, this. Time is against me today. But I've got one story about Bill that I heard a few weeks ago that I think deserves telling. I just thought it was a great story. It was only something simple, but I thought it was a great story. And I've got a personal story. I mean, about a year and a half ago, I actually wrote into somebody. When I say wrote in, it was typed, an email, but it was a long email to somebody from the media, somebody that's pretty well known. And I quoted you. Well, in fact, I'll say who it is. It doesn't really matter. I didn't get a reply, but I wrote into Jim White. Many of you may have heard of him from TalkSport. Great presenter, great at what he does. Like him a lot. Followed him on Sky and they're since on TalkSport. It's the only show I tend to listen to on TalkSport religiously. Well, it was religiously then. It's now regularly rather than religiously. I don't have as much time, but I'll listen in whenever I can. And I'm a great supporter of the show. I like a couple of people on the show, some more than others. But yeah, really enjoy the show. I used to be a regular contributor. I used to ring in a lot at one time, only for a short period, but I went mad at it for one time. And then I got fed up with doing it, fed up with myself, and I think they might have got fed up with me, so I knocked it on the head. But as I say, great show. Anyway, I had a couple of ideas for the show that I thought would be absolutely brilliant, really, really good. So I wrote in with these ideas, and I actually sent these into the producer and also to Jim's, his PRs, not his PR, the people that do all the publicity for him and what have you, his agent. And as I would have expected, heard nothing at all. But I did put in there, with Jim being Scottish, and obviously he'll know Bill Shankley well, he's my age group, Jim. I actually mentioned, hopefully he'll be the same kind of Scot as Bill was, where he actually gets back to the fans and gives them a little bit of time. I went that way as in writing and emailing him, because you can't, as I say, times have changed nowadays. You can't ring anybody and speak to them. You can't talk to somebody on a show about these kind of things, because obviously they recorded a show and there's millions listening and they don't have the time to give you, which I appreciate. But as I say, you can't pick up a phone and speak to anybody anymore. In Bill Shankly's day, you could actually go to his front garden and watch him cutting his lawn and actually speak to him. And if he liked you enough and he had extra time, he'd take you into the house and have a cup of tea with you. Just unbelievable. Just absolutely unbelievable how times have changed. Anyway, I'll go quickly to this little story and then that'll be it for me for today. Yeah, I was travelling home from, I think it's Tenerife. Is it Tenerife? Turkey? Tenerife. Travelled home from Tenerife last year, and I'm on a plane with a really nice couple. I nearly said elderly couple. I mean, I'm elderly, but they were older than me. Probably in the mid-70s, early 80s. Nice people. I'm sat next to his good lady, to the wife, and the gent's on the opposite side. He's got the window seat. And we're just generally chit-chatting. And I brought up Bill Shankley. I can't remember why. I'll tell you why. He was saying he lives in Formby. I think a mate of his is, somebody he knows well, is John Parrott. I think he lives near David Fairclough, I think he mentioned. He mentioned a couple of people anyway that live near him. And we were talking and, I was saying, look, he mentioned football and who do you support and so on. I said, it's Man United. I said, but I'm not like your typical United fan or typical Liverpool fan or typical fan for that matter. I actually support my own team above all others. I tend to follow only my team, but I have people that I like throughout lots of teams throughout Great Britain, and if I like them, I really like them. It doesn't matter who they support, doesn't matter who they play for. If I like them, I like them. And that isn't the norm, especially with somewhere like United and Liverpool, or like your Rangers and Celtic. They're all more tribal, and you like your own and you hate everybody else. I mean, as I say, I hated Shank for many a year, because when Liverpool were doing well, it was to the detriment of my team, and I hated that, but I loved him, Anyway, he was telling me this story. He said, my lad, he said, used to play for Everton many years ago. He said, but he only really got to the A team or the under-21s or whatever it may have been. He said, and they were actually playing at Liverpool one night. He said, I think he said it was a semi-final, like of a cup, like a knockout. He said it was a really big game, really big crowd when you consider it was only maybe 18, was it? Maybe under-21s, maybe under-19s. He said, anyway, my lad, I think he said his lad played centre half. I might be making that up in my own head, I don't know. It doesn't really matter when he played. Anyway, he said just after half time, his lad got crocked really bad. Turns out he ended up that he broke his leg. I think the fella told me. But they take him in the dressing room, they look at him, they assess him, they realise it's bad, they call an ambulance, he's got to go to the hospital. Who jumps in the ambulance with him? His manager? His coach? One of the other players? His dad, who was telling me the story, his mum? Bill Shankley. Bill Shankley jumps in the ambulance with him and goes to hospital with him. What a guy. Well, that plays for the other team, yet Shanks gets in the ambulance with him. What a guy. And I've read stories about with Shanks. If he were injured and you want to having treatment on a daily basis and you were injured, he wouldn't talk to you. He'd just pass you by, wouldn't have anything to do with you, didn't want to know you until you got better. And when you got better, he'd then talk to you. And it was like a tough love thing that he carried out. He used to say, they're not good to be injured. What do I want to know about them for? When they're fit, I'll talk to them. And it made you want to get better quicker. It toughened you up, it made you harder. So he's got his own men there on a daily basis, lying on a treatment table, having massages and this, that and the other to try and get them back fit and get them supple and get them right. And he has nothing to do with them. A young lad from Everton who's a nobody, who's only playing for the academy team or the under-9 teams or whatever it may be, gets in a bad tackle, breaks his leg, Shanks jumps in the ambulance and goes to the hospital with him. Unbelievable. He could have been there till 12, 1, 2, 3 in the morning. Then he's got to go back in the morning and be back with his players. What a man. That says it all about Bill Shankley. That says it all about how times have changed, how things used to be and how things are now. Always loved your Shanks, loved you more when I heard that. That's it for me.